Welcome, welcome my writing chums, and in this video we're going to climb on board the Click Imagination time machine and explore how to write about things that happened a good long while ago. Good Lord, Mr. Darcy, that's positively indecent. Thanks to Jessica Hymau who suggested this video. Much appreciated. If there's anything you want covering, then by all means leave some suggestions in the comments section below. Always lovely to hear from you. If you want the free downloads and worksheets that accompany these tutorials, then please visit www.clickimagination.com or follow the link here. Historical fiction as a genre could be described as dramatising events or characters that are outside of living memory. In other words, older than 2 generations back. This is partly because dramatising living people is fraught with legal issues, and secondly, dramatising events that are more recent in history tend to fit into their own genre, for example, World War II. It's also because historical fiction as a genre is more about a writer dramatising from research as opposed to telling a story from dictated or first-hand accounts. I've left some links in the section below, but as always, don't obsess about the detail. Historical fiction is a very broad sell, so when pitching your story, you'd be advised to focus on the actual subject matter of the story itself rather than an historic setting. So you would focus on it being a romance, a comedy, a mystery or a thriller, etc. At some point you're going to be faced with the classic dilemma. Do you stick to actual historic events, or do you change events to suit your story? Think of it like telling lies. The more lies you tell, the more complicated a story can become. In reality, there are no wrong answers, and I would advise to do what's best to serve your story. One alternative to changing history is to actually interweave your story in and amongst those key recognised events. You could also set your story with no specifically defined date in mind, which is to say simply establish that you're in a particular period. So it could be Napoleonic Wars, it could be Victorian England, but you're not defining an exact date. So it would be very difficult for anybody to realise whether or not that person or those people that you are dramatising should have actually or could have actually been there or not. You can of course also consciously choose to rewrite history by claiming that those famous events or decisions are reported actually as part of some massive cover-up for the story that you're actually dramatising. If you're dramatising characters that have long passed away, then you have a pretty much free rein to dramatise what they say, what they do, what their character traits are, etc., without the fear of any legal ramifications. Be aware that most portraits of historical figures are greatly romanticised. In fact, you could view them as the photoshopped Instagram photos of the modern age. Don't underestimate the sheer weight of research that you're going to need to do for your project. This little lot came about because I said one day, wouldn't it be rather fun to do a comedy based on the British invasion of Washington in 1814 and the subsequent destruction of the White House? All of this was hugely essential in order to get that story right. Now I have to put it down because it's actually too heavy. If you plan to write historical fiction, then it's pretty much a given to say that you want to be reading lots of historical fiction before you start. That way you'll get an idea of the type of material that's popular and also the type of writing that might suit your voice. Unless your historical fiction is set in a field, the entire cast are naked and never say anything to each other, then it's pretty much a sure bet that you are at some point going to have to learn about the fashion, politics, religion, architecture, culture, and all sorts of other things in order to paint an accurate picture of the story that you're telling. But don't worry. No amount of research is ever really wasted, and even if it doesn't end up in the final work, it always provides a certain amount of authenticity to the finished product. The old adage that truth is stranger than fiction is actually the historical writer's best friend. During the course of your research, you'll discover many exciting new things, and your story will take many new directions that actually you would never have thought of if it hadn't have been for carrying out that research in the first place. No representation of historical events can technically ever be seen as impartial, so don't take a single account of those events as the basis of your story unless you're consciously doing so. Please show your support for this channel by taking the time to like and subscribe. Everyone is hugely appreciated. In fact, it's a bit like being tickled on the tummy by a big fluffy cuddly teddy bear. Lovely. If you want to see the author talk where I go into great detail about my own personal journey in writing historical fiction, then please feel free to follow the link up here. That's it from me. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bend with the knees. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Oh gosh, last time I'm going to do anything with Napoleon. There we go. Smile to the camera. Hey, yeah. You know, commitment, huh? Work, research, books. Feel the weight.